Hello everybody and welcome. In today's video, I want to talk about my experience with the slimline roof rack from FrontRunner. Now, if you're unfamiliar with FrontRunner, they are a company that makes overlanding equipment for your vehicle. They have stuff for Jeeps, Toyotas, Subarus, whatever. And I have had their slimline roof rack on my car for about 10,000 miles or so, and I've taken it on some long road trips to Maine, North Carolina, Texas, Arizona. So I feel like I've had a good handle on it and have some experience with it to be able to give you a quick review. So in this quick review, I will talk about some things that I love about it, some of the things I didn't love about it, and finally, who is this roof rack for, and maybe more importantly, who is it not for? So let's get started by talking about the things I love about it. And the first thing I love about this roof rack is the modularity. The point of the rack is that you can customize it to whatever you need for your specific trip. If you need to carry a kayak and some gear, or some mountain bikes, or some gas cans, a solar panel, water tank, camping bags, and anything you need for a trip, you can put on this roof rack. And that's because it's built with slats, and basically whatever you can strap down to those straps, you can put on your roof. And this is really helpful if you're taking different types of trips. So if one trip you're using a kayak, you can put it on there. And if on another trip you're going overlanding and you need gas and water tanks, it's very easy to customize it to how you need for each trip. And this is great because not every trip is built the same. You need different things on different trips, and this really helps you customize and get excited about what you need and what you can take on your trip. Some other roof racks are, only a cargo basket to where you're pretty much locked into whatever can fit in that basket. Or if you only have a kayak carrier, you're locked into only being able to carry a kayak. This is great because you can do both of those things or whatever you need it for each trip. And this leads me into the second thing I love about the rack, and that is the build quality. The materials used are excellent. Again, I've taken it on many miles of road trips, and I haven't seen any signs of it breaking down. I've been through thunderstorms, snowstorms, whatever, and it's held up incredibly well. I love that there are 6 points of contact with the vehicle. Again, other roof racks only have 4. With 6, it feels incredibly sturdy. It's not moving anywhere. I don't have any concerns about it breaking down over the long-term use on my Outback. And the next little thing I love about the roof rack is the looks. I know this is subjective, but I feel it's the perfect addition for a wilderness package because it almost feels like it belongs on the car. I know it sounds cheesy, but some of the roof racks are more purpose-built, where it's like, hey, this is just what this is for, where the slimline almost has an aesthetic quality to where they designed it to not only be functional but actually look good as well. And the last thing I wanted to go over in this section is a small but I think pretty important part, and that this is a non-destructive mod, meaning you don't have to take or remove anything on your Outback to put this roof rack on. There are some other roof racks on the market where they are meant for overlanding, but you actually have to remove the Outback's pre-existing roof bars. And I love that the slimline just sits on top of the car. If for whatever reason I had to remove the roof rack, it'll be super easy and I don't have to do anything else. It's just a simple matter of taking down the roof rack. And with all those good things out of the way, let's talk about some of the things that are not so good. Now, the other ones are nitpicky and something you should expect going in. The first one I think is the worst, and that is the installation instructions. I was not a fan. They're pretty vague and don't really do a good job of walking you through and explaining a step-by-step process. You get a bunch of materials and slats and you're not quite sure where they go or how you put it on the car. Now, admittedly, I am not somebody who's great at building things, and I had my buddy who actually he works in construction and housing, and he had a difficult time as well. So it wasn't just me. He struggled too. I know somebody on their website, I think, mentioned how the instructions were unclear. Anyway, I had issues with it. Hopefully maybe in future ones they work on it. Maybe by this point it's fixed, but Something you should be aware of, that the installation instructions are a bit unclear and you really need to think through how it puts together. Now, the next negative is a negative, but it's something you would be aware going into anyway. Anyway, it's the price. This is very expensive. You know, I mentioned in the last section where the build quality is great, the material's great, everything's great. Well, you pay for that because this is over $1,300. Now, I hesitate to say it's a negative because you would know the price before you bought it. It's not like you went to buy it and they're like, hey, it's $1,300. You know the price going in, but it is pretty steep. It's not all bad news with the price because they do run sales pretty frequently. They're usually based around the US holidays, so Labor Day, Memorial Day. They can have sales 20-30% off, so you can get a pretty nice discount on the roof rack and any accessories you would want. So my advice would be, if you are looking at this roof rack and you don't need it like tomorrow, bookmark the website and check in, once a week or so and see if you can get it on sale. And the last negative is not specific to FrontRunner's roof rack, but rather roof racks in general. And that is, surprise, they add height to your vehicle. And not only do the racks add height, but whatever you have stacked adds height. And I say that because you now have to worry about height clearance. Not necessarily on the freeway, but for example, if you go to a parking garage, you will probably not be able to get in because those are usually only 6.5 feet, give or take. And depending on what you have stacked, your roof rack will be too tall and you won't be able to get in. Some drive-thrus, for example, have small clearances too, so it is something you should be aware of if you get a roof rack. That clearances now apply to you, so you need to pay attention to those signs. Again, on a freeway, highway, I've had zero issues. I've never even come close to hitting the clearances. But if you're driving around town, it is something you need to keep an eye on. And if you've never had a roof rack before, it can be difficult to get used to because you may not even be paying attention to the clearance, but I thought I should make a point of it anyway. All right, so we've talked about the good things, we've talked about the bad things. Who is this roof rack for? The term I like to use is relaxed overlanding. Something that's a 2, 3, 4 week, maybe 2 week long trip. And that's more to do with the Subaru. Like, you can't go all the places that like a 4Runner, Jeep, whatever can go. And the Subaru is great for going on like national forest trips or anything like that. And the FrontRunner rack is perfect. It's the perfect addition if that is something you are looking to get into. On the other hand, if you're somebody who's looking for like a kayak rack, this is way overkill and you can find much cheaper options for something if you're like, I just need to put my kayak or bike on there. I'm not like going away for a week, that kind of thing. If you're taking family vacations and you need to put luggage or, bags up there, this is not for that. Again, there are much cheaper options that do 95% of what the Slimline can do. This is for like, hey, I'm gonna go away for a week and I need some gas, I need some water, I need all my camping equipment, and I want to keep it out of the car. This is what the FrontRunner rack is for. And again, I think it's the perfect equipment for the job. Anyway, that is it for today's video. Hopefully this helps you out if you were interested in a roof rack and you came across FrontRunner and you're like, hey, this is perfect, this is exactly what I wanted. Or if you're like, wow, this is too expensive and overkill. But anyway, that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.